Stolpersteine. Tips and training for your Goethe-Zertifikatsprüfungen from A1 to C2.
Hallo und guten Tag. Today we're going to have a look at the rest of the numbers, but basically 1 to 100. And we're wondering why Hitler called the German Reich the Third Reich. And maybe you find the answer in my little lesson. Thank you, Dankeschön und tschüss. So, are you ready for those big numbers? Because talking about history, we usually get very big numbers. I mean, think about the history of your own country. But here is an example and a trick. So, Nummer 1. Von 742 bis 814 war Karl der Große römischer und deutsch-römischer Kaiser. So Charles the Great was our emperor from 742, 700, and then remember in German 42, 742 bis 800, 814. So he was basically the Roman emperor, which the German states were part of the Roman Empire. So just before 840, 840, we had two parts. We had the West Franks and the East Franks. Now, 843, I repeat, 843, the East Franks were declared as the first German Empire. 843. Oh, there's my crow, wants to be fed. Always lands on the fence and wants to get some bread. Anyway, sorry for this. Again, 843, the East Franks were declared the first German Empire, and the West Franks became France. 843. 1534 was when Martin Luther finished his translation of the Bible into the German language. And obviously that meant a lot for the distribution and standardization of the German language, as it is also important for the English translation, King James, etc. So 1534. So then we have the 30 Years War, der 30-jährige Krieg, zwischen 1618 und 1648. Noch einmal 1618 und 1648. So from, until, von 1618 bis 1648, which promoted France as a European superpower but diminished the influence of the German states, and also was a conflict of faith between the Catholics and the Protestants, an ongoing conflict that since today actually has remnants of this, when we look at the south of Germany being very traditional, Catholic, and the north of Germany Protestant and maybe more, I don't know, if I say industrial, that's a bit misleading, because the great manufacturers are mostly located in München, of course, and in Stuttgart, but we do have the Volkswagen Werk in Wolfsburg, that's in the north. But it's more of a mentality thing, and of course nowadays maybe a little bit exaggerated to define the German characteristics in a simple black and white or south and north divide, or an east and west divide. And then we have the 7 Years War, der 7-jährige Krieg, 1756 bis 1763. Again, 1756 bis 1763, which established Prussia then as an upcoming power on continental Europe. What did it mean? So Prussia was establishing itself as a power in its own right, and the German Bund, as they say, the association or whatever, that used to be with the Habsburg Empire, started to break away. And eventually it led 1866, so 100 years later, 100 Jahre später, 1866, to the Prussian-Austrian War. The first step towards. So under Bismarck, it led Prussia to victory against first Austria, or the Habsburg Empire, so the south. But it had far more consequences, because after that the balance within Europe was started to shift. So France got worried. France, remember, was a superpower, as well as Habsburg, and then suddenly Prussia breaks in, and that led to not only the Prussian-Austrian War, 1866, but second step, 1870 und 1871, Prussia defeated France. So the total severance or separation from these powers, thus Germany, the second empire, was established. 1870, 1871, the war, Prussia versus France. Ja, dann 1914 bis 1918 gab es dann den Ersten Weltkrieg. Von 1914 bis 1918 was the First World War. Ja, und dann zwischen 1919 und 1933 was the Weimarer Republic. So zwischen 1919 und 1933 Germany started experimenting with democracy, because the monarchy resigned or was dissolved, and didn't work out so well, particularly with financial crisis. The political consciousness wasn't yet established. So zwischen 1919 und 1933 Weimar Republic, the democratization of Germany, or experimenting with it. Well, I guess this period from 1933 bis 1945 hopefully does not need a lot of explanation. Hitler came to power, and with it we have the Second World War, and that was declared the Third Reich, which Hitler promised to last at least 1,000 years long. The Third Reich, das Dritte Reich. 1933 bis 1945 and Second World War 1939 started, and it all ended in the capitulation of the German forces, and then the struggle for dominance between the Soviet Union and the Western Allies, and 1949, again 1949, the BRD, Bundesrepublik Deutschland, and the GDR, the German Democratic Republic, Federal Republic of Germany, FRG, and the GDR, German was Democratic Republic. So in German it's BRD, Bundesrepublik Deutschland, and Demokratische Deutsche Republik, DDR, were founded 1949. Tja, then 1961, basically the climax of the Cold War, the 50s. 1961, that was the year the Berlin Wall was built. John F. Kennedy flew over and said, "I'm a Berliner," meaning he's a donut, because if you say "I am a Berliner," it means I am a donut rather than I am Berliner. Ich bin someone from Berlin. So 1961, and then it all came down, as you may know, the sort of collapse of the Soviet Union in the late 80s. 1989 was the opening of the Berlin Wall, and officially 3rd of October 1990, so 1990, then the DDR became part of Germany again, and that's the unity in October 1990. And that concludes a little bit of the historical overview. Dankeschön. Please like, please subscribe. Tschüss.